So wanted to jump in and do a Sunday live. I think I'm gonna try to do this as a somewhat regular event if I can. Um, just kind of depends on what's going on in life, right? So the very first thing I want to talk about is the big news. So this design, this train to spike design, the Orbis, the snake eating itself design that my friend drew for me when we were in Korea. I had it up and running last year, and I ran the design on the Spreadshirt website from like July until August. I'm going to go through the process, and I'm going to make the shirts available again. So I'll have it up and running by the end of the day. So the shirts will be up and available. If this was a design that you liked and wanted to get it, I only ran it for the month last year, and it's that time of year again. So I'm going to run it for, I think, just a month. And then obviously have a bunch of other designs and stuff that are available as well. If anyone wants to pick up t-shirts, they'll do that stuff too. Repping the Spike Fitness gear. Yes, that's the big thing. And then the other thing is, as you may notice, I got some crutches in the background. So recently took a bit of an injury. Things don't always go the way you want them to do, right? So like, being airborne and jumping out of airplanes sometimes doesn't go very good. So had an airborne jump Wednesday, and everything was pretty okay, right up until the point where I, made contact with the earth again. Had just a really bad landing. The wind shifted on me kind of the last second, and it made me not, kind of go the way that I was expecting to go. So I feel like my knee kind of went one direction and my body kind of went the other direction, and I hit like a jackhammer. In fact, I hit so hard, I have bruises on the bottoms of my feet. It's how hard I hit. So had to lay there for a few minutes and try to collect myself, and then try to kind of go through the process, like start wiggling my toes. Okay, those work. Kind of move my feet. Yeah, okay. Kind of bit by bit, and then try to get to my knees, and then eventually try to stand up. So I was able to do all that stuff and got myself cleared off of the DZ, which is the drop zone, and was able to walk under my own volition back to the rally point. But it was considerably uncomfortable. ER visit. They snapped a picture of my ankle, and then said that there were some bone fragments in the ankle, but couldn't be sure if it was old or not. And that particular PA didn't see fit to do any imaging of the knee. So they wanted to cast me within like kind of a temporary splint. So this gentleman threw me into a splint. If you've seen my Instagram, you've seen the splint. But essentially, kind of had me from you can't really see that very good. Had from the ankle up to my mid thigh, had me in this splint, and I didn't think all that was like super necessary because I could tolerate load bearing on the leg. I just can't get to terminal extension, right? So that leg doesn't want to extend all the way. It's pretty uncomfortable to do so. And I felt like immobilizing it would be a bad thing, right? Because I want to be able to move it. Obviously, there's some swelling and stuff in the knee, so I want to be able to do what I can in terms of movement, right? So if I immobilize it, then I limit all that movement. I limit the stimulation of the lymphatic system, and thanks, Brad. Appreciate you, man. So stimulate the lymphatic system to help try to pull some of that fluid out of there, some of that swelling. Blood flow, try to increase healing through better blood flow. And if things don't move, it just, you're not getting as good a flow. So as soon as I left the ER, immediately pulled it off, completely cut it all off. And, my wife shaking her head at me thinking I'm crazy. But to my mind, I'd rather have some measure of movement than no movement at all. And I'm gonna be really honest, I'm not very good with those things. So I've been kind of gimping around a bit, but I was able to follow up with my primary doctor, which at least with this point, with everything kind of going on with the virus and all that other stuff, any type of like non-life threatening imaging that you need to get done needs to all be gone through that route, right? So I had to at least start that process to see what things would look like. So on Thursday, followed up with my primary. They decided to take a X-ray of the knee and kind of do a physical examination. Doc was pretty confident that everything's intact. So thinks MCL's intact, thinks ACL's intact, thinks that really just the impact drove the tibia into the femur, and I've bruised the kind of the head of the femur. So we're going to give it a few days of just kind of letting it be and see what happens. And then if problem continues or I'm not able to get that terminal extension on the knee, then probably higher probability that I've done something to the meniscus or the medial meniscus or something to that effect. I had thought that maybe my tibia had rotated a bit and was impinging on that meniscus. But I guess the imaging came back and Doc didn't make mention of any rotation in the tibia. So just got to do what we can. So then going into Friday, was able to get in for a good bench session, right? So like, many of you out there might be currently dealing with an injury as I am, or, you'll have one in the near future or at some point in time in your career. And one thing that has been, I've been super adamant about in kind of like the whole mantra of the channel, right? The whole train to spite thing. Train to spite doesn't mean be stupid, right? Train to spite doesn't mean like, jump headfirst into something and just be crazy. Train to spite means don't rely on excuses. So just because at this point in time that my knee's kind of boogered up doesn't mean that there aren't things that I can't do, because there are, right? I can bench, I can do upper body stuff. I can tolerate some load bearing, so I can stand and do certain things. But obviously I have to be very conscious of the knee and any rotational stuff right now or anything that's gonna piss it off. You gotta try to avoid that kind of stuff. I can do seated presses, I can do seated curls, I could do standing curls. There's a whole list of things. There are more things that I can do than what I can't do. And so again, just to kind of repeat for you guys, right? Like injuries are coming, whether they happen as a byproduct of training or some kind of a life event. Injuries are coming. And the only way that you're ever going to get any closer to your goals is by utilizing the opportunities in front of you to do the best that you can with what you got. Road to 700 bench, Clint? Shit, man, I don't know. That'd be kind of crazy. I don't think that I could get to a 700-pound bench. I know for sure I could never get to a 700-pound bench while being in the Army. At least not like raw, right? So we're talking like no bench shirt. So if I were benching geared, I could probably hit 700 if I trained for it. The beginning of my powerlifting career was all geared, so I am familiar with how to use equipment and how it feels, and being able to get quite a lot out of bench shirts. So I'm pretty confident I could hit a 700 with a bench shirt on. But raw, never. And besides that, I'm probably too old at this point, right? Like 38. This summer I'll be 38. So what it would take to get up there, I just don't think I'd have the time or the space to be able to get there without destroying myself first. I think I'd probably kill myself before I'd get to the 700-pound bench. It'd be fun to kind of think about, though. I can't imagine what that would feel like to hold 700 pounds in your hands. I've stepped under a number of 700 plus squats, and I've deadlifted over 700 quite a lot. But to have all that weight like crashing down on you, like literally holding it up over your head, it's got to be a pretty hair-raising experience. So yeah, just wanted to talk a little about the shirt. I'm really excited to kind of bring that back, and hopefully there'll be some of you that are excited about the design as well. I know that when I took it down, there were a number of people last year that had wanted it and just didn't take the opportunity to get after it. So I'll put some stuff up on Instagram, just try to let as many people know as I can that the design is back again. So if this was a design that you had wanted previously, it'll be available again. And if you've never seen it, maybe it'll be something that you'll like and you'll want to pick up a shirt. That'd be pretty cool. You guys will have to let me know what else is going on with you. I mean, talking about the shirts and talking about my recent injury are really the only two big things that I had on my mind. And without you guys playing in and chatting back at me tends to be pretty quick here. Let's see what else. There are there's gonna be a lot of things coming up in the future. A lot of different moving around and some new scenery that you guys will be getting in the videos in the future. Some stuff I can't really talk about at the moment, but a lot of location changes be forthcoming. What's going on, Kurt? I'm good, man. I'm still alive. And no one's shooting at me, so I suppose it'd be far worse. Just kind of hanging out on a Sunday. I wanted to check in and do a live because the Sunday live seems like kind of a fun thing to do. So I hope to make this a fairly regular thing, as long as I have something to talk about. I don't want to just jump on live if I got nothing on my mind. You guys have to let me know what's going on with you guys. Drop me some questions or let me know what's happening so that we can have a little bit more of a dialogue here. After this, I think it's just going to be some beer drinking. All right, Brad, good to see you, man. I hope that everything is well. I'll give you a toast. Cheers, brother. This is this Beta strawberry lager. I'm going to be honest. The wife saw it and thought it might be interesting. It's interesting. Not something that I would buy for myself. Cheers, brother. Jonathan, any plans to see Alger anytime soon? Man, that's a good question. So, more apple juice. That is right, Jared. So Brad, or I'm sorry, not Brad, Brian. Brian, if you follow his channel, recently he talked about like why he's been so absent. And with him as immunocompromised as he has been a veritable ghost. I do stay in touch with him. So I have texted back and forth with him a couple of times just to check in, say hi. Just kind of doing the friendly thing every now and then, just dropping a note and saying what's up. I talk to Olu actually far more regularly. Olu and I chat actually quite a lot. We'll just kind of call each other randomly and check in and say hi and all that. And after I got hurt on Wednesday, Olu had given me a call and wanted to check and make sure that I'm okay, which is really awesome. I love that dude. So I definitely want to get back up there and check in at some point in time to be able to hang out. I know that with everything that's gone on, there have been a lot of sweeping changes for Brian and Neversate. As he mentioned in one of his videos, he's done some downsizing of the gym in order to kind of keep the business going. Had to sell off a good portion of equipment. And if you look at one of his recent videos where he kind of rebuilt his home gym, or he recently bought a home and then established a home gym, a great deal of the equipment that was in the gym is now in his home gym. So I can't help but wonder how much stuff is left at Neversate. So I'd be super curious to get up there and hang out at some point in time. Maybe I could be so lucky as to train in the home gym with him or whatever. But anyway, long story short, yeah, absolutely, totally want to get down and hang out with Brian and the crew again. Those guys are definitely near and dear to my heart, and maybe I can be the first person to pull over 800 at Brian's house. It'd be pretty cool. Let's see what else. Yeah, Goju Manny. Yeah, I hope so. Just trying to do the best I can, man. Staying alive. I know I do want to get out and go see Joe Satmary. Get out to Colmar, PA, to visit with him. He and I have talked about getting out there and doing something. There there could be some possibility of me getting out there in the near future, but I'll have to kind of play it by ear. Obviously, availability, like my availability and his availability, lining up doesn't always work. And then the whole army thing, right? So up until very recently, the army basically kind of had an edict that soldiers couldn't leave 50 miles from post, and then that expanded, and then they opened it up to allowed to go out to 250, but 250 miles, but that required an O5 approval. So that's a lieutenant colonel. If you guys aren't familiar with rank structure, so that's a process, right? Like that's not like, hey, I'm just gonna pop out for the weekend. That's like you're making a plan like a couple of weeks in advance, doing the paperwork, getting it all submitted, having it routed, and then invariably it ends up sitting on somebody's desk for far too fucking long, and the process ends up taking like a fucking month. So that wasn't something that I was terribly interested in subjecting myself to. But now they've changed it again, where soldiers are allowed to go beyond the 250. So up to 250 is a O3 approval, so that's a captain, and then beyond the 250 is the O5 approval, that lieutenant colonel. So conceivably could go to Pennsylvania or wherever, as long as I put in the appropriate paperwork to do so. But again, it just requires that whole coordination thing with the guys, and what's available, what they can do, and all that other stuff. So I definitely am at the point now where I'm starting to do more with the channel and able to going to be able to do more traveling. So I'm looking forward to that. Although the army is going to take me away again out of the country for a while, and so some of that may have to wait until after I get back from that adventure. The last bit of news that I have, unless you guys have some questions, I'm pretty excited about. I picked up the GoPro Black 8. So this is the 8. So I'm starting to dabble with this guy. So I have the 7, and that's what a lot of my shooting is done on is the GoPro 7. Now I have the 8 and starting to use this for some recording. None of the footage that I've released yet contains any of that, but that footage will start coming. So I'm hoping that the digital stabilization will be a little bit better, and so smoother shots and all that other stuff. So trying to make some upgrades to the channel with cameras and better music, and just slowly trying to ramp up production to something a little bit more good. All right, I'm just kind of babbling now. So there's a few guys, maybe gals, hanging out here. So you guys have to hit me up with some questions. Let me know what's going on in your world. Otherwise, you're probably going to shut it down. I'm going to do a video on this in the near future. Is this little guy right here? So we'll do a little scoop for those of you that check out the lives. So this here is the iRelieve. It is it's a TENS unit, right? So it's got these little pads that you can stick on and utilize for rehabilitation. So I know that there are a lot of folks that do use different modalities for rehab, and the TENS unit being one of them. And I know that there are a lot of varieties of TENS out there, right? And then you can get some super expensive stuff. What's going on, Randy? What's up, Clark? There's some super expensive stuff out there. So this iRelieve is something that we found on Amazon, and I think it's like $50, and it is awesome. The battery charge, because I think it's just like, if I remember, it's just a AA battery. I think it's just a couple, like two AA batteries that run this thing, but the amount of kick that it puts off is epic. Oh, I'm sorry, it's three AAA batteries. Three AAA batteries is what this thing takes. But the amount of juice this thing puts off, right? Like so, the impulse is awesome. And so like tens unit that's like not big, right? So you can see like it's small, fits in my hand. It's tiny. And tens unit, it's got the four leads to it, and you can set this puppy and just let it roll. There's a timer to it. There's some different pulse sequences you can utilize. So it has, I think, 10 different pulse sequences that you can select whatever kind of pulse sequence you want, and you can set your intensity. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't really go above a 5 because at a 5, it feels like something's about to like flex so hard it's gonna tear off. So if you guys are in the market of looking at a tens unit or looking for maybe something that you can add into your repertoire of rehab work, I highly, highly recommend this. I've been using it for years, and I've never talked about it, but I'm gonna end up doing a video on it where I talk a little bit more in depth and give some links and things like that and whatever. So just free chicken, food for thought. Hope it's great news. Yeah, Randy talking about bringing back the shirt design. This guy, this design, and this is the original design that my friend Brittany drew for me. So I got it framed and it's hung on the wall. So that's, and then you can see where she signed it. Maybe you can't. Maybe you sort of can. But anyway, where my finger is, that's where she signed it. She drew that by hand. Brittany Mohair, good friend. I appreciate her very much. So that design is going back up on the shirts and the websites. It'll be up today. Jonathan says missing the gym. Had to use car tires and to add weight because lack of weights around home. Thinking of making some concrete weights. Sandbags are another way to go. You could do stuff with sandbags and it's not super crazy expensive. You could also do like shit. I mean, if you're that hard up, you go to like Lowe's and get those big buckets, and you could do some different, weighted buckets with like sand or water or concrete. There's all kinds of stuff you can do for sure. You could also hit my man Chris Lentini. If you are in the vein of wanting to buy some gym equipment, Chris Lentini down in Birmingham does all kinds of fabrication and stuff. So he's one that makes the Echo arms. The video that I did previously, benching in Birmingham, was me actually going down and meeting Chris for the first time. He and I have been chatting for a couple of years, and I went down and had a really cool bench session with him and his crew. So if you guys are in the market looking for gym equipment and can't find it anywhere, he can fabricate, he makes plates, whole 9 yards. It's really awesome. You should hit him up. Clint, Lovmeyer Relieve. They have a back belt, which is awesome for low back tightness. Not as good at pads, but easy to get on by yourself. Yeah, so cool. I'm glad I'm not the only one that is familiar with the iRelieve. Clint, thanks, man. Yeah, that thing's been awesome, man. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to be full disclosure. My wife actually bought that for me, right? Like on her own. So my wife is like kind of a research guru, or no, she's just fucking OCD, and she'll just research the shit out of things, and just gets in a rabbit hole on different things. And at one point in time, I think I was rehabilitating for maybe my bicep after I tore my bicep, and she was looking into that and actually was the one that picked that up. And so I've been using that puppy for years, and it was a really, really good purchase. Should do a video on how I would use or how I use tens. Yeah, I think that'll be it. I'll talk about the device, Randy, and then we'll get in and talk about the different applications and whatever else. Yeah, I'm gonna do a video about that soon. I think that'd be a really easy video to do, and I think it definitely has the opportunity to be able to help people, or at least turn people onto something maybe that they're not familiar with or using right now. So for sure, that'd be super easy. Let me see, where's my mouse? There we go. Okay, there. EE, add band resistance instead of weight. Yeah, that's true. In times of in hard times, bands can be maybe your only option, right? Especially like soldiers that are deployed. If they're deployed or out in the field or wherever, sometimes bands are the only thing that you can take with you. So I know plenty of dudes and dudettes that will bring bands in hard times. At least it's a little bit of something versus a whole lot of nothing. Um, yeah, yeah, turtle looking one. Cool. Thanks, Randy. I'm glad you like that. Flesh Feast, cheap Walmart, weight set. Years ago, top set 135 at the bar was better than nothing. Absolutely, man. Right? Like for a lot of people, like these is hard times. Although I think across the board, more stuff is opening. So there is more gyms that are opening. A buddy of mine actually just recently, he just left today. He's essentially my brother, and he came down to visit for the weekend. And he flew back this morning and was saying that the gyms in Michigan are now open again. At least his is. So things are starting to open back up and being more normal for more people in more places. So that's pretty cool. Really, I don't know how many of you feel about this or what your position is, but the whole thing of like the whole idea of all this really like escapes me. And like I certainly appreciate some measure of precaution, especially if you are an individual that is immunocompromised or whatever else. But this whole idea of just shutting the world down, for me, I think it's an unsustainable model, and this will not be the last time that something new comes out. So that's even excluding the next strain of corona or whatever, right? There's going to be a new strain of something, new strain of flu, new strain of whatever. Like these viruses, bacteria, they mutate and adapt just like us. And so like there's going to be another round of something. And so the next time this new thing comes out, then like what do? We're going to shut the world down again? Like that's what I mean? Like getting out of bed every day is a risk. Like you're taking your chances no matter what, right? Like there's no certainty that you're not going to get hit by a Mack truck on your way to work. So every day is get out of bed is taking your chances. I think that this whole thing, just shutting the world down, is a bit ludicrous. And then people talk about, well, we have vaccines for flu. Even that's a guessing game, right? They're trying to guess the strain every year. Sometimes they get it right. Sometimes they miss entirely. But whatever. I'm not an epidemiologist or doctor. I'm just a dude that hates fucking shenanigans, and I hate wearing masks. It's bullshit. Wearing a mask to places, hate that. Hate that. At any rate, I'm not going to get on a rant about that any longer. Clark, hear people saying 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight is optimal. So actually, Clark, I've heard some stuff that would say, or it seemed to indicate that it's actually higher. So one of the dudes that you should look at and listen to for all things hypertrophy is Dr. Brad Schoenfeld. I have kind of paid attention to him for years, and he's got a lot of really good stuff. So he's kind of a 10-pound brain and does stuff more on the research side of things. So actually posting research articles in legitimate journals and things like that. But he also does a lot of like internet stuff, right? He does like webcasts and visits and talks to different people. And so like if you just Google search him or YouTube search him, Dr. Brad Schoenfeld, he has a lot of stuff that's out there. I watched a video of him recently where he was saying actually upwards to, I think, 1.7 grams, I think is what he said in the video. But anyway, I think that it might be individually based, right? So like I may tolerate 1.7 grams of protein, maybe more than you would, right? So obviously, like you have to base it off of your tolerance and how well your system handles it, right? Because that's essentially a lot of food or a lot of protein and shakes and things like that. So you'd have to keep an eye on your digestive system and see how it fares. But anyway, 1.5 to 1.7 is what I've been hearing recently. So yeah. Let me figure out where I was. Okay, Flush Feast, North Carolina, just delayed a reopening process and now have mandatory masks in public. Mandatory masks in public. It's a farce. It's not gonna keep you safe. Oh, the thing I think is ridiculous though is when I see people wearing masks by themselves in a car. That's like it's like wearing a condom alone. It's ridiculous. Are we going to freak out each every time a new disease? Yes, that's poster child. That's kind of what I was talking about too, right? Like there's going to be another strain of something. So like the next time something rolls out, like what do? Like Chicken Little Sky is falling, or do we just kind of keep doing what we've always done and just trudge through it? I think maybe just trudging through it is going to be probably the way to go because any other alternative isn't really a sustainable model. And then, like, yeah, I mean, people are going to die, and that sucks. But nobody lives forever. So I would rather live the life that I want to live and be happy and feel free, breathe air, visit places, do things, than fucking live my life like somebody that's a doomsday prepper. So Randy says masks just divide us further. Yeah, right. Has anyone else noticed this? Like going out in public, nobody really like. There's less and less eye contact, and like some of the normal like platitudes that may have, you see somebody smile, hey, how are you, right? Like it's like that almost doesn't exist now, right? Like nobody talks to each other, and no one makes eye contact. No one wants to be near anyone else. It's like it's so divided. It's crazy. Like people don't even smile and say hi anymore. It's crazy. Poster child stealing the 10-pound brain. Yeah. You're welcome. I'm glad that one made you laugh. Let's see. EE personal experiences need more than 1 kilogram per pound of body weight protein. Yeah. So I mean, like, I think more is better. If I recall, again, not a doctor, but if I recall, there was another episode that I'd seen Dr. Brad on, Dr. Brad Schoenfeld, Dr. Schoenfeld. I don't want to call him Dr. Brad, but it just has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? At any rate, he was talking about how there appears to be no upper limit of the amount of protein that you can process. So this whole idea that you can only process so much has been, I think, disproved, and that your body will process anything you put into it in terms of like protein, right? So there doesn't appear to be an upper limit of the amount of protein you can process. It's just a snippet that I heard from him on another show. Again, if you don't believe it, do your own research. But if I heard Dr. Brad say it, I'll buy that for $1. Jonathan, I have bands. I like to use them, but at a point they're either unloaded or overloaded. Yeah, that's true. I like to switch it up and sometimes like to have a load from start to finish the movement. Yeah, no, I get that a lot. I understand that, because the accommodating resistance of the bands, it really loads them up, and then so you get this, exponential curve of increasing resistance, and that can be difficult to manage for some movements. So I totally get that, dude. Very rough. Jared says, for those of Salate Party, the knee, how bad was it in recovery time frame? So yeah, Jared, just to rehash, real bad landing. The prognosis now is that everything seems to be intact and nothing is fractured in the knee. They found some bone chips in my ankle, but that very well could be pre-existing, from some other injury at some other point in time. It doesn't appear to be affecting me overly negatively now. So, and we're just going to give the knee a week or two of just diminished activity and diminished output, but just try to see how it feels. And then from there, if it's not feeling any better, My biggest problem is right now I can't lock it out. I don't have that terminal extension. If that continues to be a problem, then I could probably extrapolate that I've done something to the meniscus, and I'll have to get additional imaging and kind of go down that process. So, barring that course of action, should be maybe a week or two. The knee should be markedly better. However, if it's not in a week or two, then I'll know that there's probably something more significant. And then you're talking, potential surgery and months of recovery. So, one or the other. That's funny. I actually told my boss. He's like, "Hey, man, what's the word? Are you gonna be okay?" And I told him, I was like, "Hey, I'm either gonna be just fine, or I'm really not, and I'm gonna have to have surgery." So, flip a coin. So yeah, but yeah, Jonathan, agreed. Train is fight, man. Do what we can with what we got while we can. Because I mean, like, what else are we gonna do? Drink beer. Drink beer is delicious. I like beer. Mm. All right, we're already at a half hour. It blows my mind how fast time goes by when I'm sitting here just kind of hanging out and chatting with you guys. So I don't want to make this a super super long one, any longer than it already is. So if you've got any other questions or comments that you'd like me to like jump in on, write me out. Hit me up in the next like minute or two, and we'll get after those. Otherwise, like you said, I'm just trying to make the live Sunday somewhat of a regular thing, as long as I have something to talk about. So you guys can always feel free to hit me up on Instagram or wherever and hit me with some questions and things, or maybe give me some topic ideas and things that you'd like to hear discussed. And yeah, we'll try to do more interesting things as we go. Gary says, "Sorry to hear about the injury." Yeah, no worries, man. It's one of those things, dude. Shit just kind of happens. And so here's something that might be beneficial for all of you, right? Like, this is something that I genuinely believe in, and it really is kind of a sub-root of the whole train to spite, right? But this baseline idea is that life isn't really about what happens to us. That's not what life is about. Life is about how you respond to it, right? So how you handle life, not what happens to you. Because like if you go through everyone's life like a book, there's bad shit that happens to everyone. Bad shit happens every single day. There's good things that happen, there's bad things that happen, whatever. And it's all how you handle it, right? So even when good things happen, it's how you handle it and how you accept that thing and carry on in life, right? Same thing with something bad. When that bad thing, or when you get dealt that bad hand, it's all in how you deal with it. So I don't lament the bad thing happening. The thing that I have control over is what I do now. I didn't have any control over the bad thing happening. The bad thing was going to happen no matter what. It was bound to happen, and there was probably very little that I could have done to have avoided it. Right? It's one of those things. But what I absolutely have control over is me now, how I choose to behave, how I choose to carry myself in the wake of said bad thing. So hopefully for any of you that are out there, that's not the first time that you've heard that, but maybe it'll give you some measure of thought the next time something bad happens in your life, whether it's an injury or somebody does something, you break up, a divorce, whatever, it's all on how you act and how you carry yourself. That's what makes or breaks you is you. And I think that by being able to carry yourself with some dignity and some grace, even in the face of adversity, it makes you the kind of person that more people would want to be around, because you display that resilience. And resilience isn't something that just grows on a tree, right? It doesn't just come out of nowhere, right? Like you have to have it. And so practicing resilience, I think, is a really important thing. So that's my rant. Clark, who do you have winning, Eddie or Thor? I think Eddie's going to win it, man. If you look at Eddie move, I think he's a more accomplished boxer. I think that he is slightly more athletic, and just a lighter, more mobile person. And I think in the boxing ring, I think that will play heavily. Is the ability to be able to move, and I think Eddie's got it, but we'll see. Maybe Thor will catch him with a stray powerhouse haymaker, and put his lights out. I don't know. But they've already said like there's going to be, no matter who wins, there'll be a rematch, right? So like, what a really clever money making venture for these two. They really played it up with the beef between them, and got kind of the whole world talking about this beef between them. A lot of awareness on them as people, that maybe they didn't have before, especially with his Thor's world record, and having it televised and all that stuff is an opportunity for a whole swath of people to see him who may have maybe never heard of him, and they're really playing it up. Both of them have a chance to earn a lot of money, and then like I said, with the impending rematch and things like that, I don't even know if it matters who wins, to be honest with you. You should see Tyson's recent video. I haven't seen Tyson's recent video. I do like Tyson though. I think he's kind of a funny dude. Yeah. All right, I think that's it, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and close it down. I really do appreciate you guys, tuning in and check these out. So, if you took a moment out of your day to watch even just a portion of this, I appreciate you guys being here and giving me someone to talk to. So, thank you very much. I'm gonna jump off. The shirts will be live and available tonight. I just have to go finish getting it all set up, and so I'll be working on that actually right about now. And yeah, it'll be cool. So they'll be running for up until my birthday, I think, and then I'll pull them back down again. So if you want one of these shirts, the websites are always in the description box below. I have a UK site and I have a US site. So if you're in the UK and you want to pick up one of the designs and not get hosed on shipping, you can buy from the UK site. And if you're in the US, you can order from the US. And if you guys have any questions, you can always feel free to give me a bump, hit me an email, Instagram, whatever, and I will respond. Remember, guys, no matter what it is you think you can't do, you got to get in, train, despite. You're either going to find an excuse or you're going to find a way. And I hope that you guys continue to find a way. Thanks for being here with me. I appreciate you guys. See you in the next one.